Lee, you're still in that retail game. I'm sure you've noticed, man, that Christmas stuff, it's out early. It was out in like September this year.
Absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you. I was fluffing Christmas trees. Much like a fluffer on a porn set, I was fluffing...
Whoa, Lee.
What?
Lee.
Hey.
There might be kids listening.
All right. Well, can we agree that the Christmas trees are coming out way too early this year?
Way too early. Just like Lee, the trees are coming out way too early. Boom, gotcha. All right, Mike, roll that funky
Wait. Oh,
intro.
no. Roll that music.
You are listening to the Beyond Terrestrial podcast, your one-stop shop for the outstanding, the unconventional, and the downright strange. Strap in because the boys are about to take a wild ride. I'm Funk Master B, setting up that tea for the duo of gumfoolery. Your hosts, Dan and Lee.
Of course I believe in aliens. I mean, in an infinitely growing universe, why would we be the only living species? Bigfoot, Nessie, all that stuff, it's gotta be real. How are we to say that we're the only ones? It's just ignorant. I think aliens are not only from other planets, but they're time travelers.
Welcome back to Beyond Terrestrial, your home for the strange, the macabre, the conspiratorial, and all things supernatural. I'm Lee Arrett, coming to you from the Haunted Barn Studios in the Bell Witch's backyard, and I'm joined by my friend, my colleague, and as always, my co-host, Dan Martson. Dan, how you doing today?
Really good, y'all. How's it going, Beyonders? I am recording just down from the crossroads where Robert Johnson made his infamous deal with the devil, way down here in Mississippi, Lee. But tonight, we are going to talk a little bit about the old volunteer state, Tennessee. What do you think?
You know what? That is my new home. Tennessee is an amazing place, full of a rich history and full of rich stories that we can pull from. Dan's got a couple, I've got a couple, and I'm really excited to get into this. But first, I think that we should probably have a quick discussion about our friends over at Simple Equations Media. Dan,
yes,
you
Lee,
know way
yes.
more about this than I do.
Well, Lee, let me tell you, Simple Equations Media is a full-service audio and video production company based in sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. Full service audio video production means they can help you with anything, guys, from film quality work, TV shows. Maybe you're an indie band looking to make a music video. They can do music composition. They can shoot a commercial for you guys. They can do it all. That full service from pre-production all the way through post-production. The editing, everything. They edit this show, and they make us sound good, Lee, so props to them.
Heck yes. I'm excited to have them as part of our team, or more importantly, be part of their team of promoters, and I'm excited to have this partnership continue going forward.
For sure. All right, Lee. Anyways, back to the old volunteer state, Lee. Lee, you know, I'm down here in Mississippi, right? And we've got an election coming up for a new flag. That's a whole fluff. But Tennessee, I think Tennessee's got a great flag.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Very simple. The 3 stars, the line, so good.
It's beautiful.
And the 3 stars, they kind of represent the 3 distinct sections of the state, Lee.
See, I didn't know that. This is why I've got a Jeopardy champion on this podcast, to teach me things I didn't know.
Well, you know, there's kind of like Eastern Tennessee's like the mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains, Smoky Mountains, all that great spots up there in the Appalachians. Then there's kind of Middle Tennessee where you're at, right?
Yep.
Which is nice. Hills, rivers, very pretty. Nashville, Nash Vegas, right?
Nash
Great
Vegas.
place. And then there's, you know, western Tennessee, which, you know, has the bluffs and the Mississippi River, and the blues over in Memphis, most of which migrated from the delta of Mississippi up to Memphis. So it's a cool spot. And yeah, it's just like I said, 3 distinct sections, very different, but also part of the old volunteer state.
Exactly.
Well, and keeping those 3 special sections in mind, we have picked up 3 different ghost stories, one from each region of Tennessee. Ghost stories that weren't quite worth a whole show, so we decided to put them all together.
Yeah, exactly. Decided to get all of them together and do 3 stories to represent the 3 stars of Tennessee.
Beautiful. So we have another show coming up that was on a serial killer, but we just did a Tennessee serial killer, Paul Reed Jr., the fast food killer, and we thought putting 2 killers back to back might be a little too much of a downer, you know?
Yeah, I can see that. That's not exactly the most fun thing ever, right there. Right there.
Hey, we're in October now. It is the spooky season. So let's roll into a ghost story or two, Lee. I think I'm going to kick it off, if you don't mind.
All right. Lay it down. Tell us a story, Dan.
So my first story is from Middle Tennessee, and it is the Headless Conductor of Chapel Hill.
Ooh.
Bum, bum, bum.
Chapel Hill,
submitted for
place.
The approval of the Midnight Society.
God, I wish we could get that song in there for
Yeah, copyright.
I know.
But Chapel Hill, Tennessee. Lee, you been down there?
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. Beautiful.
According to what I read, it's like very small town USA, like Mayberry sort of place.
Yes, exactly.
Really? Wow. Okay.
That's what it feels like.
See, that's one of those rare instances where a place is the way that it's billed in like the tourism flyer on the website, right?
Well, to be fair, I mean, like, it'd be really hard to be like, well, Burley, desert and shit. Like,
wow. Well, I mean, look, it wouldn't be mean if it wasn't true. But sorry, Idahoans, but that's the truth about Burley. So there you go. Anyway, Chapel Hill, Tennessee is the subject. Chapel Hill is named after the city in North Carolina, which is home to the University of North Carolina and the Tar Heels.
The University of North Carolina, one of the hats I got in junior high when I was trying to be one of the cool kids. Yeah, I got.
You tried wearing a hat for a while to be a cool kid?
Yeah, I was like the hat guy. Like, I had a North Carolina hat and a Penn State hat. I still had that Penn State hat until a few months ago. I wore it too. Wow. I didn't care.
Wow, even though you knew nothing about Penn State or the University of North Carolina.
Well, I knew a little bit. I knew that Penn State got like a massive disgrace thing going on with the coaches and touching the kids and weird stuff. So yeah, whatnots.
Yeah, there was some of that going on up there. But I mean, there's some of that going on in lots of places. So
yeah, there is.
Anyways, the town of Chapel Hill, Tennessee, was settled in 1808 by folks from North Carolina. So they named it after a town in North Carolina, you know.
Nice.
Makes a little bit of sense. Today, there's about 1,500 people who live there. Nice small town, very quaint, very Mayberry, just like we've been talking about. But the town does have a bit of a history. It has some notable residents. Former governor of Tennessee was from Chapel Hill. But also, born in Chapel Hill, Tennessee, a gentleman by the name of Nathan Bedford Forrest. Lee, have you heard about the exploits of former General Forrest?
So I recognize the name. But I would not venture a guess at why I recognize the name.
Well, you see, Lee, Nathan Bedford Forrest was a general, a commander for the Confederacy during the Civil War. And after the war, he went on to found a little fraternal organization.
The KKK.
Likes to wear white. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It only took me a second. Once you started mentioning that, I'm like, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, he was the man behind that. So, yeah. Anyways, I mean, he was born there. It's not like he lived there his whole life. In fact, he spent quite a bit of time up here in the Mississippi Delta and gambling along the river in places like Memphis. So, anyways, but that's neither here nor there. Who cares about him? He was a big, giant asshole.
Well put, Dan. Well put. You're a poet.
Thank you. I mean, that's about as succinct as you can put it.
Nah, just cut right to the chase. It's great.
Right. Well, in the late 1800s, the town of Chapel Hill, Tennessee, had the railroad come through. You know, this is a big deal, Lee, when the railroad comes through town. And it was a nice little stop on the route between Nashville and Birmingham.
Okay.
Yes. So, and this is all, you know, decades before the interstate. It had quite a bit of rail traffic come through the town, freight trains, passenger trains, and a lot of stories sprung up about the railroad in Chapel Hill, Tennessee, and this is one of the most famous ones. Now, the story's told a few different ways. Sometimes it's a passenger, sometimes it's a signalman, sometimes it's a brakeman. I like to use conductor because it just sounds like he's got more authority, right? Conductor.
Yeah, he's the conductor. That's who runs the train. I love it.
Right. And what other place has a conductor?
Orchestras. They have conductors.
Yeah, okay. Orchestra, like there's no bus conductor though. You don't get on a bus and there's a conductor.
No.
Right?
No, that's pretty much it. Train conductor, orchestra conductor, and you're about it. Can you think of anybody else?
I don't think there's really any other
there are
conductors.
Conductors in my laptop.
I mean, I guess if you called your group of musicians a philharmonic instead of an orchestra, right? That'd be one other way to be a conductor.
Oh, okay. All right, now we're splitting hairs there, Dan.
Right, we really are. Let's get back to Chapel Hill. The stories about this sprung up around one particular sighting with a D, not sighting with a T. Sighting. That's a part of the rail line where it splits off into two.
Yeah.
So like a train can pull off, the other train can go by on the tracks. So the story goes like this. It was a winter's evening when the conductor stepped off his train at a siding just outside of Chapel Hill, Tennessee. They pulled off to let a passing freight train by. The conductor's job to switch his train onto the siding, then signal when the freight had passed. The freight train rolled by, shaking the stopped train on the siding. The engineer waited up front for a signal, but he couldn't see the conductor's lantern. Minutes go by. Assuming there must be some kind of a problem, the engineer goes to see the back of the train. He exits to check on the issue, walks down the tracks, and that's when he finds the conductor's body, headless, steaming from the neck, freshly dead, a broken lantern at his feet, and the decapitated head several feet away, lying in the middle of the tracks. Ooh.
Dun, dun. It must have been a cold night.
Yeah, that's the story.
Oh, yeah, you said winter's night. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was winter. There's got to be some mist rising off the body. That makes it sound cooler, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, it makes it sound creepier.
Yeah. So, allegedly, he's just waiting there for this train to go by. It's rumbling along. He loses his footing. Head falls on the track. Chop, Bob's your uncle. See you later. Head's gone.
So I don't mean to be the guy that debunks this, but I've seen train like wheels, right? The wheel of a train. I don't think it would do a clean cut. Like his head would be like nose up like that, and that's if it landed right on his neck, right? Like,
dude, yeah, you would have to fall with like your neck and shoulders like on the track. But you know what? Your head, I'm pretty sure your head would come off because that train would just squish the rest of you so good that the head would fall off.
I guess if it was like neck and shoulders, I was just thinking that it'd be too wide to just catch the neck itself, unless it was like a really long-necked individual.
Yeah, it's pretty unlikely, the story. But headless conductor is the way to go.
Mm-hmm. With a lantern, it's
oh yeah, he's got to have a
great.
lantern, Lee, because this is how the story persists. You see, Lee, years and years later, the story still continues because people still see the headless conductor walking up and down the tracks with his lantern, but no head. Bump, bump, bump. A ghastly apparition. But even more believably is there's actually like multiple sightings of ghost lights in the area.
See, that one I can kind of get behind. I have a bit of a hard time with apparitions. While I get it, and I can understand them to a certain extent. The apparition seems harder to me than just emitting a light, right? Like it feels like that's more realistic of what like a spirit could do from the other side.
Yeah. Well, Lee, this story is still going strong. I saw in my Google searching a local news piece from 2017. So
wow,
it is well known out there. People allegedly ghost hunt out there, try and see the ghost lights. There's stories that people have caught the apparition on film before. But you know how filmed apparitions usually are. They're a little bit hard to make out.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw my smile, but I started to smile real big when you said that you know how ghostly apparitions are. Sorry.
Right. I mean, they just, I don't know, it doesn't always work out. But anyway, that is the tale of the headless conductor of Chapel Hill, Tennessee. And of course, as the interstate came through in the 50s, less and less people are on the train tracks. People just don't see it that much anymore. You'd have to go out and looking for it. But just an FYI, a lot of people don't know this. Train tracks are by the vast majority of them, almost all of them in the country, private property. And you can't just walk up and down them. That's actually trespassing.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
I was always under the impression that trespassing only counts if you've got like malicious intent. But
no, well, the train, the railroad companies don't want you out there because you're a liability.
Fair point.
Yeah, if you get hit by a train, now they are all wrapped up in a wrongful death suit, blah, blah, blah. You're not supposed to be out there. But that doesn't stop people from going out there.
Oh, no. When I was in high school, I used to cross a train track to get to school every day. Every day. Right in the middle of the train track. We weren't at a crossing or any of that crap. Oh, no. No.
Yeah. Well, and when I worked at a seed warehouse down in southern Idaho, we dealt with rail cars pretty frequently. So I'll have some stories for that in our after show.
Show.
Guys, if you're not on Patreon listening to our after show, you should be. Go check it out. So anyways, Lee, it's been about 20 minutes. Maybe we should stop and take a quick break.
Yeah, Mike, send us to break real quick.
Hello, this is Michael from Pennyhaven. What is Pennyhaven, you ask? Well, Pennyhaven is my YouTube channel. On this channel, I share with the viewer some awesome coins from my collection and the new ones I pick up every week. I also have a bunch of informative videos that show you what to look for in your own pocket so you can realize the worth above face value in circulated money. I'll teach you how you can get silver coins for free or at face value. I'll even tell you how you can get a free piece of gold in the mail. Absolutely free and beautiful. So come on over, subscribe, watch my playlist of informational videos or anything that catches your eye. Send me an email to find out how to get some free gold and start getting the most out of your money. So please, go to youtube.com and search for Penny Haven. That's PENNYHAVEN on YouTube.
All right, and we're back. Dan, you told
Now,
me...
Lee.
What, Dan?
I'm stepping on your toes, Lee.
Yeah.
I just got done with my story, damn it. And now it's your turn.
Okay.
Lee, where's your Tennessee tale from?
My story comes from a little town on the east side of the state, just outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, called Briceville, Tennessee. And my story, actually, I got my story out of the Courier News out of Clinton, Tennessee, which is a nearby town. And it is the haunting of Drummond Bridge. Now, Drummond Bridge, go figure, guess what that is, Dan? You want to know? Do you have a guess?
Is it a Drummond Bridge?
It is a Drummond Bridge, but guess what kind of bridge it is?
Is it a railroad bridge?
Oh, yeah, it's a railroad bridge. So many railroad stories.
Oh, cool. Isn't a Drummond like a big round piling
Maybe, I don't know. I
for the bridge?
maybe that's why they call it Drummond Bridge.
Yeah, that's what that's what I thought, but
Okay.
that's whatever.
It's the site of Old Drummond Bridge, located off the Briceville Highway. Now, according to local historians, there's a notch that's still visible to this day that can be seen on the trestle, indicating the exact spot where a noose was looped around the wooden beam of the bridge more than 100 years ago. Now, this legend is about a man that was hanged, and he was hanged and continues to haunt that site. So that noose mark, it was looped around the bridge more than 100 years ago. The rumors behind why the man was hanged vary by generation, but for more than a few longtime Briceville residents attest to have a personal experience on the bridge.
Okay, Lee, hold on. Let me just interject something here. If I had a nickel for every creepy old railroad bridge in the South that someone had been allegedly hung off of, I'd have a pile of nickels.
Well, I mean, bridges are so popular. Hanging was so popular.
Oh, it was back in its day. Yeah, that is true.
So, I mean, any perceived slight, and in some cases, any random look in the wrong direction could incite a hanging. So,
yeah,
we won't
very
discuss
true.
who that was conducted on, but we'll move on.
So tell us why this one happened, allegedly.
Well, first of all, this bridge was one of several locations across the state included in the most haunted places in Tennessee, according to a 2009 study conducted by paranormal experts.
By paranormal experts.
That's what it says. It doesn't give a name of, it's just paranormal experts.
Paranormal experts, capital P, capital E.
No.
Trademark.
Okay, we're going to do that. Trademark paranormal experts.
Yeah, that's going to be us. Yeah. That's our next business venture. We called it, you assholes. Don't take it.
Yeah, fuck off if you think you're going to take that shit.
Dibs.
Dibs. The most documented story behind the paranormal activity is traced back to a deadly brawl between a pair of roughnecks during the immediate aftermath of the Coal Creek War. Now, I don't know if you know this, but there was it wasn't exactly a war, but they call it the Coal Creek War. Essentially, It was a battle between miners and the coal companies in order to disputing whether the miners would be paid with cash or with company script. Back in the day, the miners were basically indentured servants. Not even quite, like almost less than that. The mine would set you up with a house to live in. They'd provide you with food. They'd provide you with all this stuff. But every dime or everything they provided you with, they charged you for at a premium. So in the end, you were breaking even at best, right? In many cases, you owed them money after working for them.
Yep.
So the miners went on strike. Dan, you got any thoughts on that?
There were like a ton of company towns up in North Idaho, like mining towns, lumber towns, all run by companies. So like the company town was not an uncommon thing. The town where I went to high school was a company town. Much better managed, but I mean, we talked with Kalila Wright back in that Grizzly Ghost Stories about the labor issues they had in that area. So yeah, I mean, labor, company towns, they just go together, the strife. And yeah, there you go. Anyways.
It was really the driving factor behind unions and how unions are so important in the 20th century. I feel like there's some changes about that over time, but I still feel like unions are very important. That's personal opinion. That does not reflect the opinion of any of our affiliates, Dan, or the show.
Labor unions not quite the same as they used to be, but again, very vital in this time in history. So continually.
Okay. So eventually, all but one mine came to terms with their miners and relented to pay in cash. The Tennessee Coal Mining Company actually refused. They started bringing in unskilled miners from the local jails, specifically out of Knoxville. Scabs. The veteran miners, in response, converged on a mine to gain control and stockade and turned the convict miners back to Knoxville. A militia was called in to restore order, and the bloodiest chapter in Anderson County's history was the Coal Creek War. In August of 1893, soon after the violence of the war, a miner named Richard Drummond was hanged by a band of mercenaries after Drummond reportedly killed a younger soldier during a brawl at over rival allegiances in the war. Shortly after the hanging, the stories began to circulate throughout the then bustling mining town. The Drummond ghost haunted the railroad trestle where he had breathed his last taste of mountain air. Legend has it that on certain nights you can still hear the sound of a strangling and desperate man gasping for air at the bridge.
Dude, that is creepy.
Now it gets even deeper because the legend goes on. Legend has it now that Drummond's ghost will pace from one end of the bridge to the other at the stroke of midnight at the dark of the moon. I don't know what exactly that means, but yes.
So maybe like when there's a new moon?
Maybe. Oh yeah, that would probably be a good one. Once the ghost reaches the end of the bridge, it's said that he disappears into the darkness and the sound of a swinging rope slices through the night air. Longtime Briceville resident, once again, I pulled this from an actual interview in 2012.
Okay, hold on. One thing. The sound of a swinging rope?
Whoosh, whoosh. I don't know.
Like that's about it. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. That could be so many things.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of sound to a swinging rope. I mean, sorry, but
you would hope it would go back to the gasping, right? Like that would at least help, right?
Yeah, that was way creepier though.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, longtime Briceville resident consulted for this story still lives near the bridge, and he says he's seen and heard enough to believe something about that old ghost story. He says, I'm not superstitious, but I've seen things at that old bridge, and that can't be explained, he said. He cited, for instance, mysterious behavior of animals near the bridge as one of the unexpected occurrences that leads him to believe that the ghost stories have been at least some sort validated. There are dogs, he says, that run all along the area, but you'll never see a dog cross that bridge or really go anywhere near it, said the man. Considered by most locals to be one of the area's most knowledgeable historians, there's also cattle that graze in the field below the bridge. So this bridge is like over like a valley, and cattle graze below it. But the trestle area directly below the bridge has to be mowed, even though the cattle graze in the field, because the cattle won't even go underneath the bridge.
Really?
Yeah.
See, now that's intriguing because cows are dumb.
Oh yeah, right? So
for them to be in tune to anything is a minor miracle.
It's a fair point. The strange animal behavior was apparent last week, according to this article, when visited to acquire photos used in this story. A pack of barking dogs followed a pair of visitors through the adjacent field toward the haunted trestle. But as the group neared the bridge, the dogs suddenly turned back as if eyeing an invisible electric fence from 30 yards before coming up on the dilapidated wooden structure. So basically what that means is animals won't even go near this bridge anymore. So kids will go out to this bridge and basically try to dare each other to walk across it. Once again, this is a train trestle, not the safest thing to walk across. It's dilapidated. It hasn't been used in years, so at least you're not worried about a train going by. But word to the listeners, please don't go out there just to investigate. Or if you do, don't go onto the bridge. If Dan and I ever caught ourselves out there, the last place we would be actually on the bridge. It just seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah, dude. You ever see Stand By Me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah. There's a bridge in
every movie.
In the movie, yes.
Walk down a tunnel, the train comes.
Yeah.
Go on the trestle, the train comes.
Yeah. There's a bridge in Louisville that regularly has people die because there's supposedly a ghost out on that bridge, and that train trestle is still active. These people will go out onto this train trestle and not have anywhere to go and end up dying because of it. People that have survived that experience have clung to the railing underneath while the train went over. But you have to understand, these trains are long. You're looking at miles worth of just clinging to life, basically. It's not a position you ever want to be in.
As it shakes,
Oh, yeah.
you hold on to that thing.
That's not a position I ever want to be in, and anybody that I know I ever want to see in.
Yeah, I'll take a hard pass.
Yeah, exactly. Stay away from the train tracks, my friends. Apparently you get beheaded, hung, and turn into a ghost.
Dude, yeah, that's the moral of the story right there, is don't mess around.
Exactly.
So, well, that's a neat one, Lee. I like how that one intersects with actual history that a lot of people might not know about.
Exactly. That's what I really loved about the story. There's actual history there. That Cold Creek War, that is a huge part of history. Basically people were being exploited in this time, and mining towns, company towns, it was all exploitation. Much like never mind.
Yeah, well, the people back then all had to join together and stand up and say, hey, we don't want to work 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, busting our butts for literally no pay.
Yeah.
No cash, just store credit at the company store, which they immediately write you off. The first thing you go to buy. No, bullshit.
Yeah, like it wasn't even that it was store credit. It was fair prices. Like no, they would mark that crap up. They would make it so you didn't have any money at the end of the day.
Yeah. You load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older.
And deeper in debt.
Deeper in debt.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't call me. That was a good one.
I liked it.
All right. Well, we have hit up Middle Tennessee. We've hit up Eastern Tennessee. It's time for us to turn our eyes westwardly towards the Mississippi, the Old Man River, mighty Mississippi.
Well, hey, Dan.
So,
before we do that, we're coming up on just about 40 minutes. Is that what your time clock's showing us?
No.
Okay.
32, but you know what? Let's take a break. Let's do it. You already called it, so now we're breaking.
All right, we're going to go to break. When we get back, Dan's going to tell you about Western Tennessee. No, is it Western?
Western.
Western Tennessee, another ghost story from out here in the volunteer state.
And
hey, I'm going to step on your toes this time because you stepped on my toes last time. So I have absolutely nothing to say. I just felt like I had to interrupt. Dan, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, turnabout's fair play. That's fair. So now, Lee, you've been to Memphis, right?
No.
Really? You haven't been to Memphis?
No, I need to get out there, but I haven't been there.
Wow. Well, I mean, you're missing a little bit.
I feel like I'm missing a lot.
Yeah. I mean, they got a basketball team.
Do they?
Yeah. And they've got this, like, Bass Pro Shop that has a pyramid like the Luxor in Vegas. Like, it's huge.
That's crazy. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Next time I come down to see
crazy.
you guys, I'm going to see, I guess the first time I come down to see you guys, I will check it out.
Yes. Well, this ghost story takes place in Memphis, Tennessee, home of Elvis. Yes. But it doesn't involve the king, even though he has been sighted in Memphis numerous times.
Well, that's because I'm sure the impersonators are rife down there.
Well, yeah, but also his ghost allegedly still, haunts Graceland.
That's not a ghost. It's an impersonator. Hologram.
They paint him blue like Scooby-Doo.
Yep.
It's old Mr. McFeely, the janitor.
Ah, dang, these meddling kids.
I would have gotten away with it too, if it hadn't been for you meddling kids. Hey, all right, one more thing before I start this story, Lee. Have you ever seen Bubba Hotep?
Ooh, with
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. I was going to say the guy from oh man, I can't even remember that now.
The Evil Dead?
The Evil Dead. I watched that series. It was a pretty good series. I also watched the movies, which was also pretty good.
Dude, you got to check out Bubba Hotep. It is a classic.
We'll
go to Memphis. We'll go to Graceland. We'll watch Bubba Hotep. It'll be a whole thing.
Perfect. All right,
cool. So this story takes place in Memphis, Tennessee in 1928. So this is a number of years before Elvis's residence in the Bluff City. It takes place at a theater called the Orpheum, Lee.
That just sounds weird.
Now, Lee, I'm getting all my stories from a book called Ghostly Cries from Dixie by Patrick Fitzhugh. And Mr. Fitzhugh also does a great Bell Witch website. He's got a Bell Witch book out. It was a great source for us. Go check that out. Anyways, the Orpheum, Lee, is named after the Greek character Orpheus. He was the most talented musician of ancient Greece, according to myth.
Okay.
In fact, he went into hell and played his lyre so beautifully for Hades that he gave up his girlfriend. Orpheus's girlfriend had died, and he went to hell to get her back. And then he got to the top of the stairs, but that the girlfriend turned around and looked back or something, got sucked back to hell, and he died tragically, because that's how Greek myths work.
Of course, yeah. Greek myths are...
If it's not tragic, it's not worth it.
No.
But, oh, shit, I just bumped my mic. That's how... Yeah, I know, I'm terrible. Orpheus, Orpheum, music, theater, that's the name. And it was actually part of a chain of, vaudeville theaters. It was all part of a circuit, so all the theaters were named Orpheum. That's something you'll see, Lee, if you go back in the day. Most of the theaters all have the same name. They're all the Orpheum or all the the Baiju or something like that. They just all have the same name. Sometimes because they were part of a chain of theaters.
They had chain theaters back then? Well, never mind. We've got Regal and AMC, so I'm going to stop talking now.
Yeah. And they would all work in the vaudeville circuit, and that circuit would go to the chain theaters around, so it would have certain acts signed to it.
Okay.
And this theater in its day hosted the likes of Duke Ellington and Sammy Davis Jr., jazz legends, comedy legends. George Burns allegedly worked this theater back in the day. So lots of folks. In the 1940s, they switched over to motion pictures because that was the more popular form of entertainment. But as the years went by, despite being a grand old theater, it fell into disrepair in the 70s. It was refurbished throughout the 80s, and now, Lee, they have Broadway shows there.
Well, off-Broadway shows.
Touring Broadway. Well, the touring Broadway shows.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
that's cool.
Maybe we could go see Hamilton or something when we go there.
That'd be cool. Hamilton would be nice. I thought you were going to say Cats, and I was like, nah, I don't want to watch that. I saw the movie, and I was appalled.
I will not see that movie unless it is the butthole cut.
Fair enough.
There exists out there somewhere the butthole cut of Cats, where all the characters have digital buttholes.
I think that's worth it.
That would make an amazing drinking game, but that's just me.
Every time you see a butthole, or every time you see Taylor Swift's butthole,
oh, finish your drink. But that is terrible. That is terrible. Anyways.
Oh, we're going to do this cease and desist letter from Taylor Swift from one comment.
I know. I don't think, honestly, I think she wants to distance herself from Cats as much as everyone else who is in that, so she probably won't say anything.
She might actually be like, you know what? Do it, because that's the only way this movie's going to make any money.
If it becomes a cult classic with buttholes. All right. Well, the story that I'm about to tell about the Orpheum Theater takes place in 1928. So this is way before Cats, way before the movies were big. This was a long, long time ago. And in that time, they would show plays, and on the weekends would have a matinee for kids, because back in the day you couldn't really bring kids to the theater except on special times.
Makes sense. Kids are annoying at the theater.
Right. And especially when it's all a live production, kids can only be limited to certain times.
Fair point.
The main character of our story is a little girl named Mary, and she loved the weekend matinees at the Orpheum. She was very excited for a play they were putting on, and her family loaded up on the train from a nearby city in Mississippi. They live just on the Mississippi side. And went into Memphis early that morning, grabbed some breakfast, did some window shopping, and they got in line for tickets, right? Well, Mary got a little antsy, Lee. Kids. So she went across the street to a shop while her parents waited for the box office to open. And in the window was the prettiest little doll she ever saw, and it was already surrounded by a group of gawking girls. And they're all looking at it, and she just loves this thing, and she wants to buy it. Now, Mary's parents, part of the reason they took her to the children's matinee was so they could sit her down for a few hours while they were in town and not have to worry about her buying up everything, right? Because you know how kids are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want that. I see that. I want that. Anyways, she just had to have this doll. And with the crowd around it, she knew that it just wouldn't last until the matinee was over. So she decided to dash back across the street to find her parents so she could get the money to buy this doll. Well, as she was running, she tripped over the trolley tracks in the middle of the street. And in her rush to go see her parents, she hadn't seen the trolley coming. And the driver tried to stop. It was too late. And he ran her over right there in the road.
Oh, no.
Now, yeah, tragedy. Now, she didn't die right there in the street. A crowd of people, including her parents, they all rushed to help her. They scooped her broken body out of the road. They decided to take her inside. And they go inside the theater. The lobby's filled with people. So they take her into the auditorium. And they sit her down in a chair. And they're waiting for the doctor. But Mary expired right there in one of the seats of the theater. And never saw the show that she came to see. So, allegedly, according to folks many years later, Mary's ghost could still be seen in that seat. And not just in the seat. Sometimes she'd be seen in the basement. Sometimes she'd be seen in a hallway. According to the tales, she had a particular affinity for the balcony and the upper areas of the theater. So, the ghost of a little girl haunting the theater. Allegedly right there in the seat she died in. So pretty creepy. And the thing is, Lee, it's not like she'd be there all the time, or like during the shows and stuff, right? Like if you had gone there to watch a movie, you'd sit down, maybe you'd catch a glimpse of her. But for the most part, the times when she was sighted were during like rehearsals, or cleaning, or the renovations that they've done, numerous renovations to this place. So a lot of construction crews, those sorts of people are the ones who tend to see the ghost of Little Mary.
Well, they're in there at strange hours that are different than what the average viewer is going to be in. So I can see that making sense.
Very true. Now, also, Lee, according to the legend, right, she never saw the play she came to see. Maybe this show, you can imagine a 1928 play. Not all of them are still popular today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, if someone did a revival of this play, would that satisfy her spirit?
Ooh. Does anybody know what the play she was waiting to go see was?
According to the Ghostly Cries of Dixie book, it was a play called Sunny Days.
Petition to the Beyonders. Revival of Sunny Days.
Right. That'd be good. You know what? They could just have like a local theater production, put it on.
Oh, yeah.
And there you go. It could be kind of like a nice little exorcism for the space.
Yeah. Let the girl go free. Let her into a better place, theoretically.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, she's a kid, so crazy. Could you imagine, Lee? Of all the places to haunt, though, a theater would be a really good one. It's very Phantom of the Opera.
Hey, you guys. Oh, my nose!
A Very Brady podcast. Join host Tack Van Sickle and his guest each week as they hilariously dissect the iconic TV show The Brady Bunch, one episode at a time.
He was so creepy, though. That guy was like, he's like, I guarantee you, if they could have really done the show the way they want to do it, like he was going to have a cup to the door listening in that night in their room.
A look back at a simpler time where everything was groovy.
So her kids almost wrecked her marriage. Her employee shames her and she thanks both of them. It's awesome.
So grab your potato sack and head out to the backyard for some fun.
She's in her own room.
What did we tell her about sleeping?
They went and got the entire family for Dad to pick her up and put her in her bed 2 feet away from the desk.
And obviously before they did that, they also said, family, go get your bathrobes. Everyone needs to be in a bathrobe.
A Very Brady podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere podcasts are available.
They have some compromising pictures of Alice that they could have used to blackmail her and keep her there. I've seen those pictures, and Alice is hotter than you think. I'm going to just put that out there and say it.
That blue dress doesn't do justice?
No, it does. For me, that blue dress does everything.
Far out.
You're a bad man, Tack. You're a bad human. There's a lot of weird in this show.
Hey, Beyonders, this is Dan, just letting you know that we had a little audio dropout here. So from here on out, you'll be hearing my backup audio. Thanks to my group, our editor, for saving this. Sorry about the audio quality, but we are going to get right back to more Tennessee ghost stories. Thanks.
We got a theater, we got a bridge, we got a train track. We got a bridge and a train track. I think we hit most of the major ones.
Wow, yeah. I mean, well, see, and the thing is, Lee, with these stories, I mean, there's a train track in, like, almost every town, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a railroad bridge near just about every town.
Yes.
Any town that has any size has a theater.
Yes.
Or at least most people in the country have been to a theater, right?
Yes.
Until this damn pandemic.
Yes. Dan took a drink at that moment. He felt the need to take a drink.
Yeah, they're classic. They're classic settings because they're ones that anyone can relate to.
Absolutely, and you're right.
And particularly here in the South, Lee, we've got tales of a lynching, miners in the mountains of eastern Tennessee.
The lynching was surprisingly not of a black man, so I'm proud of that.
Right. Well, there you go. See, very progressive in Tennessee.
Well,
vigilante justice, but it wasn't racially motivated. So,
well, there's some stories that it might have been racially motivated, so I left those ones out.
Oh, well, you know what? Yeah, okay. Who knows? I mean, it's the South, and that was a certain time, and I think that's part of what gets these ghost stories sprung up is the kind of violent history of this area as a whole. I mean, the whole country has experienced some kind of violence in its history. But in the South, there's a very tangible, like, historic setting to it all. I don't know. It's history in the South is differently. I can't explain it as a Westerner. I really can't.
No, it really is different. It's kind of tangible. The hard part about the South is there's so much wish of people to maintain that history, but so much of that history is also riddled in racism and violence and different things like that. So it's so hard to balance the positive in the South. In the North, it's a little bit easier because you don't have that stigma of racism attached to it. And in the West, it's even easier because most of the West wasn't even really settled until later. Then you have the racism revolving around the Native Americans rather than blacks, but still.
Well, and I think in the West, what you get a lot of is like the Native history has been glossed over so much that it's very hard to connect with.
Yes. Do you know, I recently learned that the term Sasquatch was not a Native American word that we've been termed to believe.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, that was just some anglicized thing that they used. It was, some terrible attempt at matching whatever word it was from the Native American lore, but it wasn't actually even close, really.
Oh,
like
man.
Sacagawea and Sacagawea.
Yeah. We can't get it right. But that's what you get with a language barrier, and then with people who just don't care, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's a sad fact of it. The South is different. Maybe it's the swamps, maybe it's the cypress trees, maybe it's the hills, the river, the muddy rivers, the creepy graveyards. Like, I don't know what it is, but it is the history rings a little bit different here. And I've heard some people say maybe it's associated with the ground. Maybe it's in the earth. Remember, we went back with, the Holy Water incident. William Dorian.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bill Dorian.
Yep. And that was part of our discussion. Maybe there's something in the ground out here that makes it different. That leads to a lot of these strange cases, and especially when you have a case like in Chapel Hill. There's ghost lights, there's apparition sightings, there's alleged pictures. In yours, Lee, at that Drummond Bridge, you've got weird animal reactions. You've got people hearing things in the night. We've got people who see a figure in an empty theater house. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Maybe there's some suggestion to it, especially in a place like a theater, which is going to be really creepy and dark when you're there by yourself. But like a place out in the open at night, just a simple stretch of railroad near a town, shouldn't be nearly as creepy.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing that I really, and I hate to go back to mine, but I really like about mine is there's so much animal strange behavior, right? They're not going to be influenced by the stories. They're not supposed to be influenced by, you know what I mean? But they refuse to go near that bridge. It's strange.
Yeah. If I had a nickel for every time I told a cow that the barn was haunted and they just didn't care, I mean...
Yeah, I'm sure that really happened.
But it's true. You're right.
I'm telling you, though, if I was a farmer and my cow refused to go in the barn, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe I won't go in the barn.
I'd be like, stupid friggin' cow. I'd just shoot it. I hate cows.
Oh, yeah. What if it was your dog, though? If your dog refused to go in the barn?
All right, now that's a whole different story. Dogs are smart.
See what I'm saying, though? Like, the same thing applies. We're talking
dogs
about
and people relate. Like, I can relate to a dog in a way that I cannot relate to a cow. So if a dog is acting a certain way, that is going to hold a lot more weight to me than a cow.
All right, so I need to know your opinion on horses.
Oh, wow. Horses, I'm split. Horses are smarter than cows, for sure, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is a lot of people have horses now, and they have them like pets, like a big dog. A horse needs to work, right? If you have a horse for a purpose, if you ride it, if you show it, if you breed it, if you enjoy it, if you do rodeo, like whatever you do with your horse, awesome. But if it just is like out in the pasture most of the time doing nothing, what's the point?
Okay. So now I know your opinion of horses in general, but do you feel the same about a horse? Like, do you feel like a horse is smart enough to interpret like your strange behavior from a horse would make you worried about the situation?
No, it depends on the horse. Some horses are very skittish.
Okay, fair point. But see, I'm saying strange behavior based on your knowledge of said horse.
Yeah, honestly, most of the time, if I saw a horse that seemed like it was spooked, I'd just be like, the horse is spooked, you know?
Okay.
I'd think, oh, maybe there's a snake, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, ghosts wouldn't come to mind.
Fair point.
Probably the same thing for a dog, too. You know, if a dog was acting funny, I'd think, well, maybe there's another animal somewhere, right? And I would be on alert, but I wouldn't go to ghosts first thing in my head.
Yeah, but my experience with dogs, because I've got a dumb dog, if I would only think there was another animal if my dog ran literally towards the situation. 100% of the time. Like, it doesn't fucking matter with my dog.
Yeah, that's true. Our dogs have murdered a few skunks in their day.
Yeah.
And you're like, why did you run to the skunk?
You know what this does, right?
Right. It's not good.
So
right?
My girlfriend...
And then they come and lick you after they've eaten a skunk, man. Not a good time.
Oh, yeah. So my girlfriend has a little, 13-pound wiener dog, and it hates Dana. Hates her. Hates my dog. Hates my dog, right? But every time she sees her, she runs right up to him. Every time.
Wow. Well,
she knows his reaction, but she gets right up in his face like she's trying to piss him off, to be honest with you.
Dude, dogs are funny like that. Dogs are funny. But yeah, there you go, guys. What animal? All right, we're going way out on a limb here. What animal would you think would be most in tune to the paranormal? Go.
Ooh. For as much as I don't want to bring up cats in general, I feel like cats are probably one of the most in tune to the paranormal.
Yeah, I'm kind of picking up what you're putting down there with cats. It seems like they would have a better feel for it than any other creature. So yeah, the domestic house cat, guys, props to them. This is the one thing that cats probably better at than dogs.
Exactly. And I do think the dogs aren't far behind cats, because you have the occasional time where your dog just runs into a fucking wall because it's a dumbass, but maybe it's chasing something like a ghost. So.
Well, Lee, interesting stuff. Who knows where all these ghosts come from throughout the South, but wherever they are from, whatever they're doing, we wish them the best. We'd like to shout out one more time to our sources. Ghostly Cries from Dixie, Patrick Fitzhugh. Lee, what was yours?
Mine was the Courier News from Clinton, Tennessee, and this was out of the October 28th, 2012 issue.
Props to them. Props to their reporting. I love good small town reporting. That's always fun. It's vital in this day and age. Support your local newspapers.
And honestly, this one was well written. I liked it.
Yeah, props. So, guys, this is a great story. A couple of great stories. 3, in fact, to represent each section of Tennessee. Lee, do you have any final words on the volunteer state and hauntings?
Dan, I got nothing. I really have nothing. You're welcome.
We've covered it all. We've covered it all from the mountains of the Smoky Mountains down through the rivers of Middle Tennessee, all the way out to the Old Man River, Big Muddy, the Mississippi. We've gone across the whole state. Guys, you can follow us online at our Facebook page. Just search for Beyond Terrestrial, at Beyond the letter T pod on Twitter. You can search for our title sponsor on Facebook, on Google, and on Twitter at simple equation _. Or you know what? Just give them a call and go consult with them in Las Vegas. They are good guys. They do a lot of great work for us. Props to Mike and his team over there. Thank you, guys.
And as always, you can check us out at beyondterrestrial.com or find us on any of the major podcasting platforms. Guys, keep listening for more tales from Tennessee and out there beyond terrestrial.
Thank you for listening to Beyond Terrestrial, all 3 of y'all. If you're still a fan of this show, follow Beyond Terrestrial on social media and join the Beyonders Facebook group for even more strangeness. Links to everything, including previous episodes, are available at beyondterrestrial.com. That's the place to go for stickers, merch, show swag, and our Patreon. Patrons get exclusive access to ad-free shows, giveaways, and the unedited after-show show. Anything you give to the show goes straight to Funk Master B's bachelor pad, which for now is also where these jive turkeys record this show. This show was edited by Simple Equations Media with music by Mike Roop. Dan and Lee will be back next Tuesday with more from Beyond Terrestrial.